Hello
Fair.
and hello and welcome, fuck you quack, to Stars Without Number Abaddon. This time appearing on Someone Left. God damn it.
No,
Nope,
Tony
Tony
joined.
joined.
Oh, fuck off, Tony.
I guarded him. You're fine.
Oh, now my overlays are. The overlays will return to normal in a second. As I was saying, hello to all and welcome to Stars Without Number Abaddon, as appearing for the first time on this stream? Twitch channel? This channel. Because we're moving it from the one it was on before, because no one watched it there, and people will watch it here. Pretty
No
simple.
one likes you.
I mean, it was technically both mine and Lian's channel, so that means no one likes only half of me. Anyway,
But no one, you never stream there, so it's kind of
but
your
yeah,
fault.
it was for the game.
He streamed Fallout once.
That was my personal channel. That was regardless. Getting very off track. The overlays have not returned to normal.
Just about. They just have.
Oh, they have to. I'm just gonna hand it straight over to Liam, and then he's gonna hand it back to the players for a recap. But
Then I'm gonna go.
as a ceremonial handing of the torch to Liam, so he can hand it to someone else. Liam.
Awesome. So I think we're gonna try doing the start of this show in a slightly different way.
Well, before
Um,
anything, I leveled up. I need to roll for my health.
That's
That's
cool.
true.
That can happen afterwards. So first of all, I want to start by everyone going over the goals you guys accomplished last week, and I'm gonna see if that gives us enough information for that to be the recap. So we kind of killed two birds, one stone, right? So, from whomever wants to start, I don't care. It's up to you guys.
I'll go
Someone
first.
elect yourself. Do it, Quack. What did you get last week?
Well,
what did
last
Gwen
week
do?
my goals were this. I had two goals I completed last week, and one I completed the week before that you just gave me XP for. But also ones I did last week. The goals I completed were use my powers to aid my job, which is something I basically do every week, but this week was a bit more important because it affected my second goal, which was look into Trit's history, which was basically me going around his mind and getting mindfucked by it.
Yeah, cool. So we saw Gwen enter the mind of a very deranged person, which was interesting. Let's go, Lane.
From the previous week, joined the Spacer people. So we
Cool.
joined up with the Freedom Liberation, and from last week, I made nice with the XO for the first time in 6 sessions. So that was nice. 5 sessions, whatever, and got approval for my first propaganda piece. So
Yeah, nice. So we saw Lane. We saw Constantine doing what Constantine's good at, right? We saw Constantine, do what he's meant to do here, which is increase the popularity and positive reputation of the Freedom Front, which is kind of cool. Hey, cheers for the bits. Nut and Morgan. What did punch Constantine? Okay.
My goal for the first goals I got XP for was help Dr. Matua plead her case to the Freedom Front, and taking on all comers, improving my disposability.
Awesome, cool. So we saw Morgan last week. We saw him. He had the really awesome. What I think was a really awesome interaction with Trit, where the two of them together basically decided that I think they actually came across. They were both pretty similar, right? They're war dogs. They're bodyguards. They're a force to be reckoned with and something to be let off a leash. And I think there was some, at least on Trit, obviously I can only speak from Trit's end, but I think at least from Trit's end there was some mutual respect gained towards Morgan. And Matua, what did we see you do?
Let me look at Skype. I had continue work on the hybridization process. If you know what that means, you know what that means. And if you, I'm making hybrid human animals. And
Terrifying.
work on befriending Sarah Ashford.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we saw as the crew came onto the ship that they were delivered to by the Freedom Front. we saw a kind of new range of characters introduced to the show. We saw the crew of the ship, as you were, introduced to the show. And one of those characters was a lovely young lass called Sarah Ashford, who, seems to be your general expert on things from what we've seen so far. She knew quite a bit about the augmentation process done by Gwen, and she also knew, enough about what Matua is doing. So we'll see where that develops. And we saw Matua try and get into Ashford's good books, which was, interesting.
I also got into her head.
You did, yeah, and you saw her relationship or her friendship with the leader of the Space of Freedom Front. Funnily enough, cool. Is there anything apart from what we've mentioned via going through the goals? Is there anything that you guys want to mention extra that happened last week that you think we missed and should be noted? Anything notable?
Did we mention Gwen brain fucking the dude?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, then
Yeah,
no, that
yeah,
was my most memorable moment.
I purged his brain.
Yeah.
What else do you want?
Cool. Oh, actually, I don't think we specifically mentioned that. Gwen activated psychic powers in Trit.
Probably not a good thing, but I still did it.
We'll be interested. You've and I was explaining this. I'll say this to all you guys now, and I'll explain to the stream as well. I was explaining to Nut earlier there is a way that I clarify or classify NPCs in the game. And one of those classes is Combat Masters. The name isn't final, but it works to kind of describe exactly who they are. These are people who you don't want to fuck with in a fight. 5, 6, 10 people. And Gwen just gave one of those people who were already in the category psychic powers.
They're not very
So that'll be
strong,
fun.
so
I'm excited. It'll be great.
What would be great is if the only psychic powers you had access to were the healing ones.
Dude, that'd be even worse. Then he couldn't die. Like,
high levels you can't die with that.
Yeah,
that
he could
is
give you
so
cancer.
much
Thanks,
worse.
man.
That is
Oh.
so infinitely worse than Trit with any other sort of healing powers. Anything else? You stabbing Trit and Trit laughing as it fucking regenerates is the best picture I've ever had. I love it. Cool. So, can I remember how we ended last week?
There was a phone
We
call
were
being
about
made.
to do the thing we were meant to do. Yes.
Yeah, so I think we ended. I think the exact
Only
ending we
part
had
of
was
my health. What do I roll quickly?
you guys were about to enter a briefing, I believe.
You roll your level d6.
Before we go into the game, should we recap what our current goals are?
Okay.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll go left or right on this play. So, Matua, you want to go first?
Yeah. Let me find them. So, are we doing our big fourth goal, or is that?
That's up to you. If you think it's something that
Yeah, I mean,
you want the stream and the party to know, you can.
Fairly,
Otherwise,
it's fairly obvious.
I'm
It's
going from 7 HP to 19 HP.
nice.
It's a much better roll than anything you've done
I will
previously.
update that game screen. Matua's current life work, what she's working towards the most, is create more hybrids. So she wants more people out there like Morgan, who are part human, part animal.
Yeah, she wants to splice animal DNA into some people.
She's gonna bring humanity to its knees and then help it stand back up again greater than it ever was.
Sure, nothing can go wrong with that.
Absolutely not. Nothing ever goes wrong when scientists meddle with genes and eugenics.
And you wonder why I think you're a monster.
I mean,
her other 3 goals are continue work on the hybridization process, because that's a constant goal of hers. Work on befriending Sarah Ashford. These are the ones I had last week, but I'm wanting to befriend them. And then I want to utilize my medical skills in some fashion,
awesome.
which will probably result in me using the heal skill.
Probably. I mean, we're about to enter the first real possible combat scenario that we've experienced, I think, so far in the show. So,
Why even have a
that'll be
weapon?
well, you're about to find
Yes,
out
a
what you
laser
can
pistol.
do.
I have a laser pistol.
And like I said, possible combat situation. It doesn't actually have to be a combat situation. If you guys don't want it to devolve into that, you can try and deal this a different way. You know me. If I can give you guys an option to avoid combat, I probably will. But at the same
God
time,
bless you.
you have Trit and Morgan on your team, and avoiding combat might not exactly be an option. Awesome. So, I think, like I said, as we ended up last week, we were.
Did we not want to go over everyone's goals?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
I'll go.
You can do that.
My main overarching goal is make some kind of advance in psychic. Psychic. What the? I forgot the word. Augmentation.
Augmentation.
Basically, the way psychic powers work in this game is using augmentations to do it. I want to make an advance in that field of science.
Sure.
My other goals are use my powers to aid in my job, which is basically just mindfuck someone, probably. That's what I do.
Aren't you an engineer?
That's why I want to make an advance in psychic technology.
Mm.
I also want to try and avoid direct combat, because most likely we'll all die. And finally, I want to make a controller or a tracker for Trit's implants. Some kind of device that'll allow me to make sure he doesn't explode people's brains.
Okay.
I can.
If you can.
It dampen off kind of thing.
It would be kind of funny if Trit got the the reading minds thing, and then found out all of his friends thought about him like this kind of shitty person.
I haven't
And he
actually
just-
rolled to see what he gets yet, so it's gonna be
Oh.
a random roll to see what he gets. So.
Oh well. My goal is, as the cold-hearted contractor of misfortune, I will guide Arlene Santos through their first kill, and then persuade them to start moving towards the next one.
You're a great guy, Nut.
I
Yep.
like it. That's cool.
That's
Not
a great
corrupting.
one.
As my second goal, I will keep protecting Dr. Matua, focusing my efforts on Tritkara and, kind of hang out, because we're both doing the same thing. And
Sweet.
I will build my reputation by killing combat masters. So, if for some
Dope.
reason me and Trit were in a room all alone, and there was like I don't know, an airlock or something, and he was just kind of like stumbled into the airlock, I would just kind of like put the emergency button in and shoo him out the airlock, the rest of the way.
Sure. We'll see what happens. All right, cool. So,
Oh man.
is that everyone? Constantine, did you
No.
change your?
No, I didn't go yet.
Okay, Constantine, go.
I won't do my major goal, but my 3 minor ones are use musical talent for benefit, because my character is a musician, not a fighter, even though I think I've hit just as many people as Morgan. Fool the EDF into trusting us, and this one probably paints a picture of who Constantine likes in the party. Survive the mission with at least Leona and Morgan. Don't give a fuck about anybody else. Just those 2
Oh,
people.
we were friends.
No, we're not.
We're friends when we drink. That's it. All you do is talk shit about Morgan.
and me. She talks shit about me.
You're not on that list either, bud.
Yeah, I know.
Huh. Yeah, apparently, Matt, you were the only one who didn't have the ability to edit that note. So that's fine.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, pretty much everyone else can edit their notes. So
Nice.
you're okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. I love it. Keep the suggestions coming. I'll try and influence them in some way. Cool. All right. So as we kind of fade up from the Stars About Number Abaddon title screen, we fade into the ops room, the ops deck of the ship you're currently on. You haven't been up here before. Like none of you guys have. It's a pretty standard, basic ops deck. The Kendall probably actually had a slightly better ops deck.
Oh,
Yeah, but
geez.
that's
A less old-fashioned one.
Yeah, it was slightly newer, but not by much. I think it's more the fact that the modifications made to the Kendall over the years were just slightly better. Like this ship has been chopped and changed, but And I think, if you had a conversation about conversation to Arlene about this particular part of the ship, she'd probably tell you that this part hasn't actually been modified a lot since its original days as an old colony ship. Kind of understandably, you guys kind of know there's not a lot of difference, right, between a colony ship and an ice hauler and the various other things the ship has been in its life. The ops deck doesn't really need to change, right? It's just the rest of the ship. So the ops deck is kind of old and poorly maintained in some areas. Everyone's here now, though. So every NPC I've introduced you onto the ship is here. All of you guys are here. All of the NPCs that came with you are here. And the EXO kind of pushes himself away from the floor and like grabs onto one of the rungs of the ladder, like the ops deck ladder, and kind of like puts himself above you guys, so you're kind of looking up at him. He says, all right, so ship's coming up. This is the job. Yeah, he nods around to your component of the crew. You're gonna take over the ops deck, or at least the visible parts of the ops deck, not the important parts. We're still gonna be flying this boat. He kind of gestures to everyone else, says, now, our job, that's to hide and keep quiet. He nods towards, let me pop up his picture for you. He nods towards Stefan Grigor. I think I should have pulled up for you guys. And he said, no, I didn't. Should have played. Maybe.
Oh wait, no, yeah, it did. I thought you meant like
Yeah,
as
I
a
can
bit.
see it.
I thought you meant as a big image in a screen, like you do to a token.
No. Just the thing.
Ignore.
So the EXO points towards Stefan and says, you take anybody on this boat who can hold a gun. Take them downstairs and get them ready to board this boat. Remember, we want as few casualties as possible, and we do not want them to raise the alarm. Speed is key, and keep as silent as you possibly can. They're going to want to come on board to check us out anyway, so that gives us our opportunity. They'll dock, send some men over, deal with them quietly, quickly, and get on board their ship, preferably without them knowing you're coming. And Stefan kind of like slowly nods. And you see him kind of like looking around the room, sizing up people. His gaze obviously lingers on you, Morgan, and, glances off around the rest of the room. He says, he looks back towards you guys. He says, all of you, you'll be manning this ops deck until all the talking's done. When they start sending people over, you'll head downstairs with Stefan. I want you on board that boat. And I want you guys to be there when the EDF troops start docking. Because the first things they see is no other Earthers, Martians. They probably won't be as cautious as they might otherwise be. To that end, Stefan, your man, any other spacers in the group, you stay hidden when those EDF Marines come on board. That'll give you the opportunity to take them by surprise. Any questions?
Myra
He
raises
looks
her
specifically
hand.
at you guys. Yeah, he looks at you, Myra.
Just to clarify, we are killing them, right?
Nods. Killing, neutralizing, doing whatever you need to secure the ship.
Myra raises her hand again.
He's still looking at you. He hasn't looked away.
Yeah, she's doing it on purpose.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah. I don't believe I'm very adept at killing people unless it's when they're strapped into a chair and I can inject chemicals into them.
He reaches down to his leg holster and draws his pistol. You know what this is?
Is it a surgical implement?
Dr. Matua does not
Yeah.
know how to reload that weapon.
She says
He-
that
he-
meaning it as a joke.
Yeah, he continues to like kind of stare you down, Matua. And you see like I think can you roll me a
Talk?
doesn't really matter a lot, but can you roll me a like
Not talk. Talk? Is it talk?
Oh, it's not.
notice?
Well, I'm alright.
Once again, almost that awareness, empathy.
with
okay.
charisma?
Yeah, sure.
Do you want to give me like a +6 to that?
Not particularly. No.
No, okay.
You tried.
Did it roll? 8.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
not bad.
Hey, cool. So you notice him grimace, and like for a fraction of a second, like the veneer, the face that he's been putting on with you guys around slips, and you see the distaste he has for you, before he like shakes his head, and when he looks back up, the face is back on. He says, "This sand," he points to the tip, "that you point at the enemy. This thing, you pull that, one of them dies," and he like throws it to you. And it kind of like floats through the pretty much null gravity at this point because you're not moving very fast at all. Probably on like a 0.1 gravity as you guys kind of float to a stop.
Did he say if that'd be fighting as well?
He didn't. He'd said for Stefan to organize a team.
Okay.
Right.
I catch the pistol dexterously.
Awkwardly.
Well, I have 14 dexterity. It's like
Sure. Yeah,
No,
it's really not a hard test, right?
yeah,
Like
I mean, I
the gravity's quite low here. You didn't throw it hard. It's kind of floating.
Misses
Or
it,
did
she
any
looks past her
EDF?
hand.
I think
looks
Morgan steps up and says,
Sure.
"Boarded any other EDF ships of comparable size lately?"
Shakes his head. No, haven't.
All right.
So
No
we're
experience
saying-
at all, I assume.
Class. We've boarded ships, Morgan. Don't worry about that.
Good.
Just
Do you
not
have
EDF
some kind of
destroyers.
program to disrupt communications?
Shakes his head. Don't let him know you're coming.
Gwen,
So,
I
that
do
was-
believe you can program something.
I could give it a go, but I'd like to know what's our cover story. Is our ship broken or what?
Well, it's easy. You have a wanted criminal on board. I am the wanted criminal.
No, Morgan, that's a terrible idea. If they look into you, they'll look into the rest of us.
Exactly. We're all wanted criminals.
Glenn,
Stefan,
you're
like-
a spacer. You're hiding.
Stefan holds up his hand in like the stop gesture. Very spacer, like stop gesture. He says, No, we're just a nice hauler. Lowly
right.
merchants, travelers. We help the boat keep running. That's what you are. These EDF, we passed too close to them. They'll want a full investigation of our inventory. Hell, the bastards will probably want to confiscate some of it. That's the way they work.
Gwen
Sorry.
laughs at that.
I would just like to clarify that I am not, in fact, a wanted criminal.
Yes, you are.
Of course you are.
I do not comment on that.
You just commented on it.
I don't believe you.
Right.
The XO like clears his throat. All right, if you have no more questions, Stefan, get your team ready. He points at the like Martian and Earth components of your crew. These are your stations, and he points around to the empty stations near the front of the ops deck, the ones that are in view of the camera, from the like comm system.
Friendly freighter.
He says, he looks up at you and he says, listen, we've disabled most of the functions on these terminals, but don't press buttons.
Quick question: have we got a manifest or anything?
You know, yeah, I'll beam that through to you. Well, to the EDF when it's time. We'll be here too. We'll hear your messages. We'll hear what you say. So, here's an idea. Don't say anything wrong. Because we're back here with guns. And I'd rather not shoot you on camera to the EDF. Kind of defeats the purpose. But I'll do it.
So
Gwen
we
just glares at mature.
yeah, so we shouldn't scream that we're being held hostage by crazed terrorists who want to kill us.
No.
Trick kind of laughs. He says, ha!
It's a
It's
bit
funny,
too late for
'cause,
that.
you terrorists too now, yeah?
So we shouldn't say we're terrorists trying to kill them all?
Maybe you should let me do the talking, Matua.
He nods.
Let the Martian do the talking.
Trick nods. Yeah. Let the Martian do the talking.
Gwen just raises her hand and says,
Scientist
"I'll
guy?
grab the duct tape."
All right, and the XO kind of pipes up again. He's like, "All right, 2 stations. This is done. They'll probably hail us soon. I don't want anyone up here when they do." And everyone starts moving to their tasks.
All right. So how many chairs have they left to us?
There's enough for everyone. There's enough for everyone in your crew.
Is anyone else
Alright.
staying on the bridge with us?
Yeah, so there's a like a considerable portion of the like Trid staying up there, the XO staying up there, the captain's up there, Sarah Ashford's up there, and then a few other like unnamed unimportant NPCs
Probably
who are just manning
to
consoles.
hack into the console and actually do stuff to the ship.
Yeah, probably.
Hmm.
I mean, you could try it. Roll stealth, see what happens.
No, I don't think it will.
Yeah, that's fair. That's your decision. You're allowed to make that decision.
Well, Constantine, it seems like we are good to go, eh?
Indeed. Also, we should probably start referring to ourselves by the names on our IDs, not our real names.
Mine says Steve.
You guys can make that decision.
Liam, can you please generate me a new random character sheet so I can decide my name?
Nope. I can pull up a random name generator.
Well, they're never as
And,
good as the random character sheets one.
Because
All
none
right.
of them
you know
are
what,
names.
You know what, dude? If you wanna have to try and pronounce
No, I do.
a name on a random character sheet, I'll give you a name on a random character sheet. There you go,
I am
dude.
wrong.
Have fucking fun with this one.
I don't think I was given
Yeah.
it. I am Nidrid Klebup. Pleasure to meet you. I
Nitrid
am from
Klebup.
Greece.
Greece?
I don't know.
That's
Yeah,
not a
swear,
Greek
Greek.
name.
Hello, Nidrid. Oh, that's a good name. That's a strong name.
Oi, Nidrid Kleeback.
Yeah. I like how it's Australian now.
G'day, mate. I'm Nidrid Klebat.
I'm Nigel Kleber. How you doing? All right, cool. Moving swiftly along. So, cool. So you guys will take a station. Is there anything you are trying to do? So basically, you guys sit down. The rest of the crew sits down. Like Arlene sits in the pilot seat, and the rest of the crew kind of spread out via these various stations. Use the spacer, like the normal crew of the ship. A couple of them are filling seats that will be within the camera's view, but most of them are kind of like around behind the like comms ladder and stuff like that. Is there anything you guys want to do given this opportunity? You kind of, if any of you look back over at the spacer crew, a lot of them are sitting down and actually starting to like do things. Trid's kind of just like floating there with his arms crossed, staring at you with his head tilted.
How
Kind of
long
this.
do we have?
You don't know. It's like it'll be soon. It depends on when the EDF hail you, right?
Gwen sits down whilst probably an engineer's console just pretends to work.
Sure.
I go talk to Sarah Ashford.
Okay.
I don't.
You
think she's-
you walk over.
Oh, we can do someone else first if we like.
No, you kick yourself away from your console and then float because at this point we're complete free like 0G free float.
Oh, how
And
long has it
Sarah's
been
kind
since
of-
we last talked? Since the incident?
Since what? Sorry.
I rolled a 12 on my charisma check with, or my talk check
That's
with
right.
her, and then you fucked me.
I didn't fuck you.
You fucked me.
I
Fucked me a little
look.
bit.
It's like probably like a day maybe.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
wait,
need
no,
to give her some more time to think it over.
It would, because I did that at like the second or third day of the second week. And
Did you?
yeah, I was like
Oh,
it
okay,
might have been
then
the first day.
It's been a bit longer then. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. I go talk to her in that case.
Okay. So yeah, you kick off and you float towards where she's floating, looking at a console. She doesn't notice you as you approach.
How goes it, Sarah?
She like reaches up her hand and like kind of spins herself slowly, using like the back, like pulling out her heel and using like, the back of a chair to arrest her motion. Says, to her, what can I do for you?
I just thought I'd come and have a friendly chat about what you think our survival options or chances are.
She raises an eyebrow. Don't we both have jobs to be doing?
Not particularly at the moment. No, I'm not allowed to do any. I'm not allowed in the lab.
No, but you're meant to be sitting there, looking pretty in case the EDF rock up.
Well, I can look pretty sitting here talking to you, can't I?
I'm not the one you're meant to be distracting, Matua.
If the ED pop up, I push myself backwards and slide into my seat elegantly, looking pretty.
She shakes her head. No Earther has ever done anything in 0G eloquently.
I must be the first then.
Shakes her head. What did you want, Matua?
Like I said, I came to check what you think our survival chances are on this. Like I said before, I am not an expert at combat or a novice or a attemptee. I've never fired a gun before.
You see Morgan look at Trit and say something like, I bet a bullet that the EDF call before Matua gets back on her chair.
Trit doesn't say anything, kind of just like tilts his head the other way. Matua, she says, Matua, my job isn't to care whether you live through this mission.
No, but you are an intelligent person who has seen a lot of these things happen before and therefore should be able to give a educated guesstimate.
She shrugs. 10 to 1, you don't make it back?
Well, I was hoping for better odds than that.
She like just stands there
She
like
stares at
looking at
me.
you.
Can I roll a notice charisma on her to try to get like what she's like feeling beneath the facade?
Sure.
Cool.
Ignore the 4. Doesn't matter. Nothing important.
No, I wanted to look for. What is it?
Notice charisma. This
9.
game's version of awareness empathy.
Exactly.
Okay. So she seems distracted.
Sarah, if I asked what's the problem or what's distracting you, would you tell me or would you go tell me to sit back down?
She tilts her head. Depends how nice you ask, Mature.
I try to, I put my hands by my side and shrug up my shoulders and, put a big grin on my face. Well, Sarah, how are you? What seems to be the problem?
A bullet flies through your brain as you die.
She sighs. Mature, honestly, I thought you were smarter than that. We're about to enter a combat situation. Guns, bullets, death. She, raises her hands in a very obvious gesture, what do you want from me?
I look at her, slightly incredulously. And what's the problem?
I just gave you 10 to 1 odds you're not coming back, Matua.
I believe I told you the last time we talked. I really don't care if I live or die.
She's like, Matua, maybe you don't care if you die, but if you do, your research goes away. Maybe you'll care about that.
Well, that I do care about, you're right, but my research won't go away, as I told you last time. It is highly valuable, and it will be continued. By someone. Or something.
Shakes her head. You think anything cares so little about human identity? You think anyone but you cares that little, Matua? Why do you think this research is illegal? Why do you think you're running from the EDF?
Because the EDF is afraid of change. They don't see progress the way I do.
Shakes her head. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all.
The EDF
I think they do see progress.
The EDF are afraid of what I could do for humanity, what the research could do for humanity. It's going to change everything. And I mean everything.
Shakes her head. Yes, you're going to change what it is to be human. You're going to create an entirely new race of things that aren't human.
You
know how well that's gone
seem to understand, Sarah. Once my research is complete, there will be no humans Earthers, Spacers, Martians, there will be no
There'll be
division. Everyone will be something new, something better.
She like looks you up and down. I think that depends on your version of better, Mature. Yes. I think that people like Morgan are better at fighting than me. Do I think they're better at anything else? No. No, I don't think Morgan is anything but a loose cannon, a dog off his leash.
You say that, Sarah, but that's because that's the way Morgan is. He was like that before he came to me, and he will be like that long after. He would be the same if he was not a half shark man.
The EDF
All I
call?
did was give him the ability of shark.
Oh,
So, like the second the bleeping of an incoming communication happens, it's like the second it happens, Sarah like reaches up and spins herself so she's got her back to you,
I push my back.
and is avidly
I
working at
push
the
back towards
console.
the thing. Can I roll a talk to see how that went?
Sure.
The goal of this would be more along the lines of trying to get her to appreciate how to understand what the research is, and try to get her trying to work on her agreeing with me on that.
Sure.
Oh, I'm not rolling talk. Sorry. I'm gonna re-roll that.
Sure.
Oh yeah, sure. The conversation.
Thanks
with
to
the-
re-roll on this.
13.
uh,
I get one per scene. It's fine.
Okay. Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
I will point out while that conversation was going on, I was using makeup to hide my scars and slicking back my hair. That's all.
Cool. That's fine. Where is your character sheet?
I'm putting all the roles and stuff I've gotten with various characters, relationship ones, in my note section just for you, if you want to
Sweet.
see it.
What else do I need for you? Can you roll me an evasion save at -2?
Me?
Yeah.
Do I have to?
Yep. But I mean.
Well, I mean, you're allowed to just accept a failure on trying to
I'm
get
not
back to your
gonna do
seat.
that. Evasion. Fail. Fuck, so close.
So you push yourself back towards where you were seated.
Yeah.
And as you're floating back, you must have pushed off the wrong way or something. But you miss the chair completely. And you go
Catcher.
yeah, absolutely, Morgan. I think you're watching and 100% ready for this. And you go past your chair and float down as Morgan reaches out a hand and stops you, and I assume pushes back in the direction of her seat.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So as soon as they see Matua pushing herself back into a chair, the comms opens up. A connection request is successful. And you see a woman in a very neatly, very properly dressed EDF captain's uniform, kind of floating in front of the camera, and she looks very dead-eyed into the camera and says, "An unidentified ship on course," and she says your perfect heading. "Identify yourself and prepare to be boarded."
Oh fuck! What's the name of this fucking ship?
Does it have a name?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It would be on the the screen in front of you. That's kind of it's
Basic
loading, I
info.
guess, screen. This is Jean Marie.
Oh, the Jean. Yeah, that's why. Fucking French. Greetings. I'm Captain Spudnik of the Jean Marie. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, the captain on screen. says, "I'll need you to stand by, prepare to be boarded. Prepare to receive a couple of EDF Marines. We're going to do a standard check and sweep."
Yes, that's what we were going to request. Thank you.
She nods. "Is there anything we should know about before we board? I'm also going to need you to send over your also going to need you to send over your manifest." And like as she says that, like a notification of like an outgoing file pops up on your screen.
No problem. And the only thing you have to know is we're in 0G. That's about the only thing. We've been floating here for a while.
She nods. Says, "Yes, that's normal for a ship not moving."
You asked for details. I'm trying to be nice.
She like there's like a pause. And I don't think the view screen is high enough definition to tell exactly what she's doing. And she's kind of like her head kind of moves slightly, and then she looks back up the screen and says, "Roger that, Sputnik. Prepare to be boarded."
Like,
Salutes.
does the console on map show anything about the ship?
The comms like cut. What was the question? Sorry.
Like, do the comms show any info about the other ship or anything?
No. So like your systems have been basically like the stations. You would know that yes, normally it would. The stations you are at have basically been put into like sleep mode, so you can't actually do anything with the ship.
I really want to figure shit out, but like I have one in Snake, so I could do it. But if I fail, I get shot.
Yeah. Why would you even try?
Cool. So with the ending of the communication, Trit like pushes his way into the middle of the room, and as he's like slowly floating through the room, he says, "All right, it's time. Let's go."
Morgan nods and gets up.
Cool. So I'm assuming everybody
Yeah.
goes about the task.
Puts
And
herself in the chair and refuses to move.
Cool.
And
So
she
you
goes,
guys, I'm assuming everybody like you will have weapons, right?
I
Does anyone
don't.
not have a gun?
I don't.
I
have
have
a
two
basic laser
pistols that I
pistol.
took from the cops. Saturn Corp guns.
Forgot
rounds
about
of
that.
ammo. 50 rounds of ammo.
And
As well
3
as
magazines.
this, but it's not technically a weapon, it's just brain fucking.
Yeah. So if anyone doesn't actually have a gun, you're handed like a standard pistol and some ammo. You're handed a semi-auto pistol and some ammo.
I need to find the stats for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be the same gun that you were given, Matua.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Does it beat the cop gun?
No, the cop guns also would have been semi-autos.
All right.
That's kind of like the standard sidearm.
All right.
Yeah. As soon as you get those stats, you let me know, man.
Yeah, no, I'm
I've
trying
got
to
it
figure
here if
out
you want
where
it.
you even added on the character sheet.
I've got the
weapons.
stats for the. I can
Weapons.
send you the
it's
stats for the
completely
pistol if you
different
want.
section than
Let me send
yeah.
it in there. So it's
This
a
pistol.
semi-auto pistol. It does 1d6 plus 1 damage. Its range is 30-100. It has a 12-round magazine. It is a dex weapon. Encumbrance 2, tech level 3.
Yeah, I agree with Asa. Wouldn't pistols be harder to control in 0G?
No.
I mean, they'd make you go flying backwards.
It's like the entire point. So you have essentially every weapon in here would have a like 0G component, where basically instead of firing normally they have like small rocket propelled fucking rounds.
Revolvers.
What you're explaining there as mag weapons, which we don't have.
No, that isn't a mag weapon. Well, mag weapon is using magnets. It's a railgun, basically. Which I will note the EDF ship has.
Yay!
Railgun.
Let's steal it.
Yay!
The
We'll
big
get
thing that could
railguns.
fucking
Let's
hold
steal
this
it.
ship. So just so you guys know, you would have seen it on the displays. The railgun itself is basically well, the ship you're facing itself is an EDF destroyer class ship. Normally, this ship would house more crew members than you guys would have, even a contingent of more Marines than you guys have as a crew in its entirety. But you assume the spaces have picked a ship that isn't fully crewed, hopefully, or else this is going to get really bad for you. Because the UDF have a lot better armor than you guys do. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
We're gonna die.
I have armor. I'll be fine.
Cool. So, you guys head down to the cargo bay, which is where the docking tubes attach, and basically wait for the boarders. The Spacer Freedom Front crew and fighters spread out around the room behind cargo crates, behind anything they can find to be out of view. There's numerous clicks, bangs, and other assorted noises and movements that you guys know and would associate with the docking of two ships. And maybe 15-20 minutes later, there's a knock at the the docking hatch, right?
Is there like an environmental stable thing?
Yeah, you have a little readout. You have a little readout there that says there is oxygen on the other side of this hatch.
Yeah. So.
By the way, Liam, I activate that power.
What is that?
Basically, lets me have a 360 degree of awareness of the entire area for 100 meters.
That's
Okay.
not
Oh
bad.
man.
Sure.
So.
Basically, he's entered tactical mode.
Yeah. So we send Constantine forward, and Morgan says, "All right, Gwen, if you can, remove their ability to think about using their microphones and comm gear."
Actually, good question about that. Like, I'm assuming I can, but I can use that power more than one person. It'll just take more than one effort, wouldn't it? Or can I have to use it one person per round?
Let me have a look at what it says in the book. My assumption is that it would be one person per round because you get an action, right? And an action in a combat round, you get an action. An action would be using that spell, right? Or using that psychic power. But I'll have a look.
The target may make the telepath may make a target. Yeah, I think it's this one.
Yeah, if it says target, then yeah, essentially because if you look at the actions in combat, which is where are we? What page is this on? I literally just had it open. Oh wait, shit! I moved so I could get to the. Here we go. Skill checks, combat. It's on page 50. You get the actions, right? And one of those would be one of the main actions would be using, I guess, a psychic power. So
yeah, control.
Right. So the idea is we lead them in. They get to a certain point. There's an ambush place.
Yeah.
Either
basically Morgan. They set up with either you or Constantine a go word, right?
Yeah.
For you guys for the rest of the people to attack, you guys can decide what that is between you. But they basically say, you guys say this when you're ready for us.
Were we told how many people to expect?
No. We don't know. But what we do know is that we shouldn't firefight right in the beginning.
No, that would
be
probably
horrible.
give us away.
Yeah. So Gwen, you're on the captain. We know sort of the layout of their ship because Arlene is a major EDF fangirl who has all the models.
Liam, how large is the cargo bay we're in?
This is the smaller one. So you have the biggest component of this ship, one of the biggest modifications when it was turned into an ice hauler. Essentially, all of the back part of the ship, what would have been a normal pressurized cargo bay, is now open to space. And it's got a bunch of racks and seals for chunks of ice. This is a smaller internal pressurized cargo bay. Probably where 30 by 30 meters roughly. It's not big.
So I can basically my spatial awareness basically covers the entire room.
Yep.
And everything
Right.
around it.
Cool.
Yep. So Gwen,
there's a
you're up
there's a
front.
knock at the airlock hatch.
Gwen, since you're the engineer, you're up front with Constantine.
I thought the spacers were supposed to hide.
Most of them are, yeah.
Most of them.
They're still so like Ash, Sarah is still visible, Gwen's still visible. Maybe
Okay.
one of the other spacer crew is visible, but a
Yeah,
majority of them are hiding, and all of them. You also notice if you're paying attention, every spacer crew that has a visible Freedom Front tattoo is very hidden.
Well, I know where they all are, so it doesn't bother me.
So like Sarah's, which we saw last week. Actually, well, the last time we played, we saw Sarah's like tattoo. She's well hidden, and the other couple of people who are up, whose tattoos would be beneath clothing. So yeah, who goes to what are we seeing here? What do we see?
Probably
Fran,
me
let them
and-
in.
Yeah, Gwen just opens. Gwen goes up to the door and just begins, and it's like says, "Opening the door now."
Sweet, cool. So there's a slight hiss as the two sides, can completely equalize. Not much because they were both pretty close anyway. And then an EDF Marine kind of puts up his hand, grabs the front side of the hatch, and kind of ducks his way through, followed by two more. They're all wearing normal kit for EDF Marines, which is what's it called in this game?
Assault suits.
Yeah, it'd be assault suits. Although it's assault suits in the last game, is it still called assault suits in this version?
I think it is.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Cool. Then yeah,
It
assault
is.
suits.
Powered armor.
Not powered armor. Assault suits. There's a big difference there, and we don't want powered armor, guys.
It's in the powered armor ranking.
Is
Huh, it is okay.
Then
It's-
probably the.
Let me read the description
like-
for.
It's page 65 if anyone's.
Yeah,
No,
I'm trying to find the
combat
actual
field
description.
uniform.
Sorry.
It'd probably be a combat field uniform or security armor.
It's more than that. I'm gonna give it the stats of combat field uniform, but it's a full body thing.
Vac suit. Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be a lot like how I described assault suits in the last game we played.
Or it would, think Halo or
Yeah, think like ODSTs in Halo.
or,
That's always my image of this sort of armor is ODSTs in Halo.
or like Shepard's armor from Mass Effect, kind of, but less flashy.
With a
Yeah,
with the
similar.
helmet on.
Shepard had a. Oh yeah, I get it.
So yeah, the three of them grab the top and then kind of push their way in. The one in front reaches up and unclips his hits the unseal on his helmet and lifts it off, and we see a kind of a moving into late 40s Marine. He has a streak of gray in his hair. And he kind of nods towards you, Constantine, because you're the one he's identified as captain. He says, "The fuck was your name again?"
Sputnik.
Says,
Captain Sputnik.
Captain Sputnik. He nods. We're here to conduct a routine inspection, if you don't mind.
Of course. I assume you would like to go straight to the main storage area?
He nods, and he steps up towards you, Sputnik, and kind of reaches out his hand to shake, kind of pushes his rifle back behind him and reaches out his hand. He shakes
I
and
take
nods.
one.
He says, "Fantastic to meet you. Some lovely ship you're running here. We'll take a look around, have a look at the manifest and any onboard systems you have, and we'll be out of your hair pretty quickly."
Of course. It is always great to see the EDF taking notice in smaller freighters such as us, and we really needed to. How do they? I'm trying to get the actual human words for it. I don't say that. To get our credentials up to check, so we don't have to go through this next time we have to stop.
He nods. He nods. He says, Yeah, unfortunately, procedure is procedure, right? Close, pass a little bit too close to an EDF ship, and we have to take up some of your time. I apologize for that.
It's no worry. I've had good encounters with the EDF the last few times. So,
He says,
Meanwhile,
all right,
Flash, I'm
if
smoking.
you don't mind, you can show me and my boys around. We'll get out of your hair. And he gestures towards the door to leave.
follow me.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you walk your way. They kind of follow you through. The three of them have probably entered the hatch is sealed behind them, and they've entered like the middle of the room. I think the other two at this point like reach up and like unclip the seals on their helmets, and like take them off and clip them to their belts. And we see a younger female and probably like a slightly older male. Kind of like looking around nervously. You can tell that these two are more unexperienced than their older friend.
Well,
Well, I
Gwen,
guess so.
are you giving him the manifests?
Oh yes, Gwen takes out a compad and transfers. I'm assuming it's a fake manifest. Sorry, Phil.
Yeah. So he there's a ding, and he kind of looks at his wrist, and kind of like taps a few things. Says, "Awesome, thank you. That all seems to check out. We'll just physically check that, and we'll be out of your hair, nice and easy." And he kind of like closes it back and like puts his arm back down, and they kind of pass through the center of the room, and they're moving towards the exit into the rest of the ship.
Where's Trit and all them?
Hiding.
They're
in this
hiding.
room.
Oh, they are.
So this is like this is where you guys decide where you want this to go down, basically.
Yeah.
Do you want them to enter into the next corridor and be behind them in a firing squad? Do you want them to be in the middle of this room like they are currently? Like where do you guys want this to happen? This is where you guys
I think
want to
get them into the corridor and then like just at the
Yeah,
door.
we don't want a firing squad of spacers, the Marines, and then us on the other side.
Awesome. So I'm assuming.
Spaces us then Marines because then we'll get killed.
So I'm assuming like Constantine like would like gesture for them to go first into the hallway maybe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I have the perfect way to do that. I would
Do
look
it.
to the grizzled captain and say, your recruits seem a little green. I don't think they like being led by a stranger. Please, go ahead of me.
He smiles. Do you want to roll me a check, Sputnik?
Oh no.
Oh my
course.
god. First actual roll of the game.
Just roll me
Not
like
what you
a
rolled.
talk. Roll me like a talk.
We've all rolled several times.
Charisma.
Fine.
No assist.
Guess I rolled.
There are several firsts in
It's
this
not
game.
bad.
That's not
Not
bad.
bad.
Yeah, like he has no reason to like suspect you. You've been civil. You followed all of their instructions so far with no hesitation or no worries. So he nods. He says, "Yeah, these first two rotation out. It's nice to see some green blood." And he kind of like reaches up, puts his hand on the doorway, and kind of ducks under, and starts like pushing himself down the hallway.
Yeah, this is when you start mindfucking him, or what?
Yeah, like I've closed the hatch they come through like to get into the ship, and now I'm just gonna do this to the big guy. Wrong button.
Cool.
Well,
So
that's one way to do it.
he the captain sergeant he reaches up and like grabs his like he does like this, and then like you hear like a and like he like starts like hunching over slightly. You see the two younger like Marines like lift their weapon, but they're obviously inexperienced and they're what the fuck is happening, and they haven't like they're not thinking enough to like start the rotation straight away. So they're like pulling up their weapons and they're still floating forward. They it's a mess. This is where you guys would.
That would be the signal for you guys to start attacking. By the way, I would have done that
Yeah.
earlier.
I want to pinpoint the weakest looking one, the most unhealthy one, like the frailest one, and just shoot them.
Cool. So I think we need roles here. Like you guys and the spacers kind of stand up, raise your weapons, and unleash a volley of fire into the
Liam, I
three
think we need a
Marines'
battle map
backs.
for this.
John, we're not gonna need it. They're trapped in a very small corridor with a lot of people shooting at their backs. The
We
rounds.
select our tokens to roll initiative.
Look, if you think they're surviving the initial volley, I think you're wrong. So you guys and all of the other spaces in the corridor open fire, and the rounds impact onto the back of the Marines. You see that
They don't even have helmets on.
They don't even have helmets on. A sprays of blood start floating and collecting in these small orbs of blood that are floating away from these Marines.
The captain's not dead, right? Or whatever he is. The leader.
I mean, if he wasn't from the psychic assault, he is now from
Okay, cool.
the hail of gunfire. And then after a while, you guys may have stopped shooting, but the spacers are unloading into these now dead bodies. And Trip holds up his hand. He's like, "Hey, no, stop! They dead." And it's kind of slowly they start stopping. I think there's one younger spacer who's still firing his pistol. He's probably got it sideways into the body of the Marines, and Trip turns, grabs the kid by the shoulder, spinning him around, and just clocks him. And the kid flies back into the nearest wall. He looks pissed off, and then he looks up to see who did it. Looks into the face of Trip, who at this point looks pissed. Right, you saw his expression go from "fuck yeah, we just killed some Earthers" to "you didn't listen to me, I gave you a fucking order and you didn't listen." And the kid very quickly goes from "the fuck just hit me" to I'm sorry. Very, very quickly.
I think this is when we see the other part of it, where we see maybe Arlene with a smoking gun, and we see Morgan on the it's like the coach, the football coach situation, where Morgan is all right, good posture, that you did it.
It zooms out more, and Myra's just there with her eyes shut, just clicking the gun because she's fired all the shots. She hasn't stopped.
Holy fuck!
Just click.
Yeah,
click,
I like kind of slow pan across the group. And I think we see Sarah kind of floating there, her pistol's by her side. And for the observer, the watcher who's paying close attention, the little readout on her magazine still shows full.
Gwen's pistol's in hand but not fired.
Yeah, cool.
Myra needs more ammo.
Awesome.
All right, we need now. We just need to send the all clear signal back to the ship so we can board them as fake EDF Marines.
I think the armor's full of a few bullet holes at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, so you hear I think as you're saying that, you hear thud 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 as the three bodies that were still floating forward impact against the far bulkhead. And you look at this, so you're looking at this corridor, and you're intentionally using low penetration rounds. So the armor is dented and ruined and hasn't unless a place has been hit multiple times. There aren't actually a lot of penetrations in the armor. There's a lot of cracks and dents and impact marks and scorching. But the backs of these Marines' heads are just turned to mush. That's what killed them, right? Is the bullets that either ricocheted or just went straight into the head. The actual corridor itself is scorched and pockmarked in a similar way. And it looks like hell. There is blood and parts of armor and parts of a human's head floating in free fall through this area.
Would those suits have diagnostic scans of their health readout, like their like system readout rather, that could be like uploaded onto a separate device?
Yes, you get the idea. You get the impression that there very well could be. And I think you see like Trit is currently like floating towards the 3 armor suits.
Yeah,
That's Gwen's problem.
Yeah, I looked to Gwen. Gwen, do you think you could get the diagnostics from the beating they just took? I'd like to see it.
I think the main problem is most likely that those diagnostics were connected into the other ship's servers. They most likely already know these guys are dead. We have to act quickly.
Could I still
Or
get the
you
readouts?
you can intercept the readouts and maybe.
I'll see what I can do. I take out my compad and see if I can like do anything with the readout or anything.
Sure. So you'd have to get over to the bodies, which Trit is currently like doing something with. He's fiddling with the armor.
I move over quick and say, Trick, what are you doing?
These suits,
Stop.
they're linked to the main system. I stopped that. It's cool.
I was going to do that.
And he clips up like a panel on like the forearm of one of the suits, and like reaches in and like pulls something. He says, "This one's good." And he like grabs it by the shoulder and just like flings it off to the side, and the body like starts like spiraling and goes away, as blood continues to like spray from the destroyed head. And he moves on to the next one and like flicks it up. He like nods his head back at you, Gwen. He says, "You do the last one. I got this."
Okay. Will that be a
You
fix or-
saw what he did the first time, so
Yeah.
Give me like a tech roll of like a +2.
Fix or program or either?
Fix is probably the most appropriate.
Well, fix is my highest, so that's good.
Yeah, do a fix with a +2 because you've just watched Trit show you how to do it. Yeah, that's easy. So like you and Trit like disable the last 2 suits, and Trit kind of shrugs. He says, "Either they know what we're doing, or they think suit malfunction. It's fine."
Judging by the state of these suits, will I know if they're in a malfunctioning state, or just like they would be able to detect that it was something else?
Like the suits, so you check the readouts and what they're sending. They're just like flatlined now. There's nothing. They're not sending data. So either and it happens, right? Like either transferring between ships has cut the link of the suits, and it could have already done that, honestly. The various tech in between, the 2 ships and the Marines inside could have just fucked with the suit's sensors anyway. But
Yeah, we didn't exactly tell them that this would happen.
I suggest we hurry up either way.
Before we do you think I could get those readouts?
Later, Morgan. Not Morgan. Yeah, mature.
Yeah, and I think the rest of the team kind of push their way to the boarding ramp and open it up, and you see the tunnel, the attached tunnel that goes between the 2 ships.
Can I sense anyone in the tunnel?
No, there's no one in the tunnel.
I just call it, say, boarding pipes clear. Good to move through when you need to.
Right. It's the other end of it that concerns me.
Yeah, so I think the Spacer team kind of push their way in front. I think Trit probably goes first. I think so. He'd get to the hatch and he'd like be ready to push himself through. Like he's got his mag pistol in hand. And he kind of like looks over to Morgan. He says, "What about you, big man?" And like you notice like everybody else in the room of the Spacer crew is very specifically waiting for like Trit to go, right? They're not pushing past him. They're waiting.
Yeah. You said they had rifles?
Yeah, so the EDF had rifles.
Well, those are useful. I can take one.
Cool.
EDF rifle. Which type is it?
Combat rifle, if they're still called that in this system. Or whatever the equivalent is in this system. Let me look.
1d12 with burst fire.
Yeah, combat rifle. Did you save yourself from the spider, Matt?
Somewhere.
It's on your
What?
face.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, you guys. So do you go with Trit like to lead the group, Morgan?
Yep. I tell Arlene to keep an eye on the rest of them.
Okay. Cool.
And I head
So
out.
yeah, you
How
you
many
and
people are here?
sorry.
How many people are here in total?
There are, including everybody in your crew, because they gave everybody in your crew a gun and made them go. And more people are like, not everyone was in the main room, right? Like they've filtered in from there. There are 22 people in this room, armed and ready. Very few of them actually have any form of armor.
This is going to be fun. I'm going to stay near the back.
Yeah, so they push their way, like Trit and then Morgan push their way in front, and as you're kind of like floating down using the side of the wall to push yourself along, Trit looks across at you, Morgan, and says, "So big man, you go first, there."
Oh, you scared?
He laughs. No, I want to see what you do.
Oh, that's cute. Is this a date?
Yeah, he nods, laughs. This is where I'd take you if I was taking you on a date. So yeah, why not?
All right.
Yeah, like he continues to like push himself down the wall.
Yep.
And you guys reach the other side, and you kind of like you stop yourselves against the far wall, and then he Trip reaches up and then like it bangs on the hatch, and then kind of like pushes himself back slightly and gestures for you, Morgan.
All right. Gwen, can you send a message through the helmets of the captain? Tell them there was a suit malfunction.
I'll see what I can do. Don't promise anything because knowing these guys, they can detect shit. But let's see what we can do. Program or fix.
That's up to you, dude. What do you think is more appropriate? And argue your case, and I'll see what I think.
Like, I really want to use fix because it's higher, but like, it makes better sense to use program for this kind of thing because I'm trying to use a communication network that's. I assume the helmet wasn't the comm system on the helmet wasn't destroyed.
So the helmets were clipped to their belt. You can probably just like use it.
Yeah.
I'll allow you to have the foresight to have. We have like a flashback scene to Gwen like taking one of the helmets off the dead Marines.
Gwen's just wearing like a helmet for some reason now.
Yeah, she like fits it on. I'm assuming you took the female Marines.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is there an
yeah.
end tag?
Yeah, I think there is. I think there's actually it's on the side of the like HUD overlay. You get like the team readout.
Do you
so
want
you
an
get
argument for
all three
using the
names.
fix thing? Do you want the arguments? I can give you one.
Go ahead.
You activate the suit diagnostics and you send a message that basically says the entire suit system has like had a glitch, so we can't use the vocal comms. But there's like an automated system that basically like informs them that the suit has glitched. So obviously,
Basically do that saying the suit has glitched, gone into lockdown, need repair.
Okay.
Yeah, that you
Sure.
want some diagnostics.
Roll for me, dude. Let's see. So the three names that are on the like suit diagnostic. There's Rachel Perkins, which is like yours, obviously. You see, all of the the names are all reading as like they just have it's like the bar that has like vital signs, but like kind of overlaid on top of the bar is just N/A. There's Charlie Wade and give me one more. Danny Yates, and Danny Yates has like a symbol next to his name.
Would this be charisma, intelligence?
I think
You're not actually sending a message. You're just
Exactly,
giving them
I'm
the
thinking
information that
intelligence.
the suits are fucked.
Yeah, I think it's intelligence, right?
Okay. And no assistance?
Yeah, no, nothing. Just roll. Cool. So yeah, you send out a message, and I think shortly later, like you hear your suits, like helmet comm like crackle and fizz, and then there's a like it's really distorted and staticky and like it doesn't sound great. You think something's gone wrong, but you hear a voice come through. And the general, you don't pick up every word, but the general gist you get is like, yeah, affirmative, like, roger that, right?
Yeah. I say, Trip. They're going to open the door. They think their suits are broken and they need diagnostics. Be ready.
Love it. Let's go.
All right.
And then yeah, the door like opens, and let's get some initiative. Let me flick you over to a different.
Oh
Yep.
shit! What up? What's happening?
And you see, I think this is when you see like before like a battle prep where basically it's just like Morgan is just talking to Arlene, and it's like, well, that's the ship. Have you ever seen the interior?
You know, if you change tool or tool, you can make straight lines, Liam.
That's fair. I don't care. This looks cool. What are you doing? Get off my screen. Cool.
Oh, sorry, just a second. Audio has fucked itself.
I think this is a good time to take a break. It's been an hour.
Oh, we can go longer.
If the audio
Yeah,
is
but we can also take a break.
If you guys want to break, we can break. Are we going to
I
break?
don't mind.
We
Yeah,
will
well-
be back in about 5 minutes with part 2 of Stars Without Number, Abaddon, week 6. Stay right
I'll make
there.
a map.